Hi, welcome back. Today, tomorrow and probably the next day, this is going to be a painting of a leopard. It's based on a leopard head painting I did on oils on canvas some years ago. So it's going to be similar. I took a lot of reference of leopards when I was in Botswana. So this is going to be a sort of using some of that reference, some other new reference, some based on some photographs my brother's taken. So I've prepared some sketches, and the first thing of course is to get the drawing down or get the basic leopard down on the canvas. It's a reasonable sized canvas, as you can see. It's sort of medium size, I guess. It's a box canvas. I'm going to be working in acrylics primarily, and I might work in oils towards the end. I might not, of course, but I like the luminosity that oils give, but it might remain just as an acrylic painting. So yes, you need to start this. It's going to be I'm going to put down a base colour, which is going to be like a middle tone colour. The reason being that the leopard comes out of a dark background, and I'll probably add to the background as we go, and I'll obviously highlight the leopard as we go. Yeah, so here we go. It's going to be, as I said, it's going to be probably in 3 parts, and I'll video as we go, so you can follow along. And any questions, please email me, let me know what you think. But hope you enjoy the ride, enjoy the exercise. Okay, so we've got this down. The background's going to be dark. This is all going to be dark. I'm going to do a suggestion of leaves. It's going to be quite. Okay, we're blocking out the colours, blocking out the background and putting in the leopard patches. Right, so hi there, we're day 2 and we continue. Basically I've got down all the rough elements, all the spots and dots roughly, covered the background roughly. It's very thin, very loose, thin wash, all acrylic still. Starting to put some detail in. What I'll do is I'm going to start putting the detail in here and take this to keep this area, run the area, it's going to be softer and more abstract, for want of a better word. But that's essentially it. That's getting your detail down. The eyes are going to be very important. Eyes are going to be where the animal comes to life. Personally, I think that's always the case. It's actually where the animal does come to life, where you start getting the character and the interest coming through. The background is suggestive, really. It's going to be suggestive of forest, possibly a bit of a tree. I'll see as I go. You could, of course, use reference, which I should do, and I probably will base it on some sort of reference. But at the moment, the essential leopard is there. I will now sort of cross-reference against various sketches that I've done and images that I've got, and just build them up from that. So, yep, day 2, here we go. And of course, before I start putting in detail, I'm still going to use a large brush, and excuse my palette. I'll have to find a better palette as we go. But essentially I'm just going to be doing a wash of colour, slight colour on this, and I'm going to take a cloth to push it in. So just adding some colour, some wash over some of the areas. And we're going to then fill in with colour afterwards. So this is all just filling in again. I've got quite a lot of colour. I've got quite a lot of yellow. Depending on your reference, again, it can be quite dark, it can be in the light. So this now is just putting in some yellow wash over. It's just softening, really. It's really just softening the overall. It's a bit too stark at the moment, so it's just really just softening it. And I'll go back as we go over there. All this actually will be quite, this is all going to be quite dark inside here. There we go. A lot of this at the top is not, it's quite light, and it will have a sort of blue tint to it slightly. It's where the orange comes up, the orange and yellow sort of comes up where there's shadow almost. But again, it varies. You'll see some shots of leopards. They're very, very light. Very little yellow and orange and ochre and sepia colours. This is basically a mixture of burnt sienna and a little bit of a sort of a yellow going here. That's going to be this is quite grey around here, so I don't need to worry too much about that. Again, we're going to have some dark inside here, getting into the ears. And down here, underneath it, that's the chin, that's going to be quite light. So underneath the chin we've got some quite dark areas bleeding into the background. Don't worry about that. Again, you want to brush, ideally, you want to follow the way the hair grows. So the hair is going to go out there, it's going to go here. You'll see on reference, you'll see actually where the hair goes. So it helps if you do your brush strokes in the direction that the hair grows. Yeah, I've probably got a little bit carried away with this, but I will push it back. And again, starting to step back as well. Step back from your painting every now and again and just see what you've got here. This is too much, I've put down too much there, so I'm going to take it off with a cloth and just mop it a bit. Doing the licking thing, which shouldn't really do, but hey. Get a bit of a wash on here. You see the spots and the patches on these animals, especially leopards and cheetahs, have really multiple colours. They're not just one colour. And again, they'll follow the contours, the way the hair grows. Starting to get more colour coming in here, and we're going to lighten and darken. I'm sort of really working in a mid-tone at the moment. It's just keeping it in mid-tone. So let's take a little break. Hi there, we're in the last stage of the leopard painting, as you can see. I've done a lot of work without the camera being switched on, but I thought I'd just show you the brushes that I've used. I started with a very cheap broad brush, filling in backgrounds and large areas of rough colour. You can work with a larger brush, and this is a very cheap brush. I then started working with smaller brushes. I carried on, there's another brush, but I started working with in-between brushes, and I'm now trying to find the brush that I worked in between. Remember, okay, that size brush, started working with that. It's a bristle hair brush, nothing special. So that was to put in some of the basic, again, some of the more detailed areas. And then I started going to, which has not been filmed because it took a lot of work, it's a lot of detail work. I started working with very fine brushes. And those are sort of fine sable hair brushes, giving me the textures and the shapes and the contours really of the hair, so that I've painted the way the hair grows on the face. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, I'll go into some detail. I'll actually go into a little bit of detail here so you can see that the eyes require a very fine brush, and some of the very small hair areas that are splayed out and going in different directions. When this is dry enough, I've then, as I said, I started working in acrylics initially. Then I started working in oil, so a lot of this now is covered in oils. The background is still the rough acrylics. I'll paint the background over in oils, in layers of oils, darken that background. Most of this is fairly finished, as you can see, but I'll wait for it to dry. I'll have to wait for it to dry quite a bit to put on the final whiskers that go above the eyebrow whiskers and obviously the jaw whiskers from both sides. I'll have to paint those, but I won't be able to paint those until the paint is dry enough, otherwise they're just going to become messy and dirty. And I'll also need to rest on that so I can get a nice line going with those whiskers. Otherwise it's pretty much finished. There's not much point in me painting now and showing you, because it's really just detailing. It's going in and just touching up and tweaking it and just adding a little bit more detail, a little bit more finesse and softness and smoothness. So that's going to be the mission for today, and then I'll come back to it. I'll come back to the video when I start putting the final touches, which will be the whiskers and things. So I'll show you that later. So this is day 3, stroke day 4. So it'll be it'll probably be the rest of today, and wait for it to dry, and then get back to it, and then paint the final touches. So there we go. Well, I hope that's been helpful and fun to watch. I go through stages of, my wife actually asked me if I enjoyed the paintings, and invariably I don't enjoy them. There are stages where I don't enjoy it and where I do, and where I get frustrated and then I rectify it. And that's one of the things why I like working with oils, because I can adjust and change. But you can do it with acrylics, of course, but I like the fluidity that oils give me. You can add mediums to your acrylics to simulate that sort of same effect as you would get with oils. I just have a preference for working in oils generally, but there are areas where, and there are types of paintings that, for me, acrylics do the job, and they do it better perhaps than oils would. So there we go, that's the job for today. Thank you.